Do you want me to sit there? Or
Yes, why don't you come up?
could I have
So this is, are we live now? Okay. So this is Senate Appropriations, and we're taking up H-127, which is the sports wagering bill. And we have the commissioner here today. We have Senator Sears remotely. We also have Stephanie Barrett remote. And we would like to wrap up and get this bill out. What we have here is a proposed amendment based on yesterday's work that would deal specifically with the appropriation. And we know that we needed to deal with, we had the 250,000, make it very clear, for the purposes of establishing the problem gambling. That's the first year to get it going, to go with your 200,000. Then number two is to give you the administrative resources you need to implement the program. Three is what hasn't been in the bill until now, and that's the 100,000 that ADS would need to create this self-exclusion program. And then, and so then we were saying, put your money together, work in this collaborative way, and report back to us in January of 2024 how that prevention plan would be operationalized, would be funded. It's sort of a sense of how we as a state are going to be addressing the issue of problem gambling. And then we'll go to the report, which basically you're going to have to do anyway before the report, just because the governor is going to be building his budget. Senator Pershing.
True on your last point, you have to do it anyway, except for B. So I wouldn't propose this if we were already making an amendment by striking out actual above, but I don't think 2B on the second page has any value, so it's just kind of busy work. But we can do it if we want to just leave it in there, but I don't, they're not going to have any information, so we're asking you, makes sense asking for fiscal year 25, but to say have it project into 26, I don't see the value in that.
Well, okay, so I think it's asking for, we've got two different methodologies, a set figure or a percentage. And so I think, but
that would be, that's part of a specific appropriation. Could be a percentage, or it could be a number, it could be a fraction. Like, you don't need to say that, but if you want to say it's fine, I'm just saying, I think it's a little cleaner.
Take it out. Well, I
What are
don't.
you taking out? I'm trying to figure out what
The
you're
bottom last, the very last one for fiscal year 2026 and after, in the form of a recommended appropriation or a percentage, because we have two different versions of how that could be approached. Senator Westman.
So I wouldn't take that out specifically because if you're going to coordinate the budget for already in lottery and what you have in the budget that was presented to us this year, there are five line items that deal with building safe and healthy communities. And this hopefully is going to be melded with that from your testimony in mental health. And if we're going to put this all together, to work together to help build safe and healthy communities, we need to know, with the money that's already going in, the money that we plan on getting out of this, we need to know what that all looks together as a package. So we don't have one over here and one over here, and we're not talking to each other as we go to hold it together. So I think for fiscal year 26 and after, in the form of a recommendation of minimal appropriations or percentages left, we need to know what's going to be appropriated on the lottery side and what do you recommend being appropriated on this side to create that overall budget?
I guess the other big question is the whole focus of this bill is on problem of sports wagering. On the other hand, we know that addiction and the prevention efforts are already in place with lottery as an enterprise. How much does lottery generate? Twice as much as we think this is going to.
Yeah,
give, is that the right word?
Mhm.
Transfer to the ed fund $30 million a year.
Which is 3 times.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, lottery is one thing, but gambling could be different related to addiction, for purposes of thinking about addiction and addiction programs.
Well, I was just thinking,
Lottery doesn't have the same addictive quality.
well, that would be an argument for how you want to split
Right.
the share of your prevention. And because you may say that you need to, even though the revenues generated are less, the needs are more for this. And we can't predict that. I mean, that needs some time. And I think this is really part of looking at those two different funding streams that come into your department and what is the right allocation between the two.
I think my concern that's taken care of by the amendment yesterday was that we can't predict what the revenue might be to the state, but if it's $20 million or $10 million and we're talking 5% of that, it's one thing. But if it's 100 million and you're talking 5% of that, it's quite another.
Right.
And as I said, based on the data your report had from New Hampshire, they're generated about 10. So if in fact we had such a booming business that 5% would just blow, we'd just say that's unrealistic, we would have to come in and put some kind of an upper limit or something like that based on that experience. Any other thoughts on this, Dick, while you're there? No, okay. So, yeah.
Just my understanding, maybe the commissioner can correct me, that one of the reasons New Hampshire has 10 million is because part of the year Massachusetts people were going over New Hampshire and betting, so that New Hampshire number could even be higher.
Yeah, so we'll see where New Hampshire's revenues are because Massachusetts just legalized and set up sports sports betting in March 1st.
Because I have nephews that live over the border in Massachusetts that would drive over to New Hampshire, so then they could make a
So
bet
that would suggest the New Hampshire experience
even
is
higher. I mean, it's
Even-
inflated 10 million.
Well, the other thing with New Hampshire is they only have one vendor.
Correct.
So is that lower?
Yeah, we have a range up to 6, not to,
Yeah,
Yeah.
two to
and that
six.
was based on the recommendation of the study committee. So in light of this, I mean, looking at the funding streams, what should be the proportion? Should it be a percentage of whatever? It seems like it does need some attention as we move forward. You still would like to,
Well, it's fine, I'm not gonna argue with it, I just don't think the 26, fiscal year 26, we're gonna do it anyway, but if you wanna make a projection of 26, that's fine. I think specific appropriation would cover a percentage, so you could put that in there, but
well, this is the first
It
time
would
that
be
we're
an ongoing
linking.
funding process, so.
But this is also the first time that we're kind of linking those two revenues. That's the whole purpose of this.
Yes.
And then what should be the proportion? And is the 200 from the lottery, which is currently the level, versus, is that the right amount?
Absolutely, and that's something we've been talking about in the department, just in terms of how we handle the problem gambling in the Vermont lottery. If I make comments, the way I read A is that it would be a specific appropriation, which makes sense, because we will be developing FY '25. And B, just as a recommendation for FY '26, and that's fine. I understand that, I understand the difference, and we're fine with that.
So
Go ahead.
will this be in your existing budget that you do with lottery? You have contracts with problem gambling, you have a grant that goes out to the National Association.
No, I can explain, so the way, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
And then you have 3 MOUs that go out to different organizations. It'll be developed in almost the same way.
Correct, so the way we are working right now with the Department of Mental Health for problem gambling, right now we have a grant that we give to the Howard Center, it's up to $200,000 in a fiscal year. We are, and the Howard Center knows this, I've had long conversations with them since the fall. We are terminating that and we will replace that with an MOU for the Department of Mental Health. And so effective July 1st, the Department of Mental Health will be the resource for problem gambling for Vermont Lottery.
Yeah.
And so that will be the start of the problem gambling program, or the responsible gaming program, is because they'll have responsibility for the Vermont Lottery. Then they will have the appropriation from sports betting, and they'll be able to develop a comprehensive,
That's what we really
Program
try
for-
to stress.
right, and that's exactly what we've been planning, so this makes sense to me.
All right.
Yeah.
It makes sense to the administration, and we're supportive of this.
All right.
We'll be talking about this next year.
Absolutely.
So what we're gonna do
Every year thereafter.
Here's the come, Jenny.
Is just, and get rid of actual, because with 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
In, probably there won't be a lot.
Impactful for 2 weeks.
Other than that, committee, other questions?
The amendment.
Move the amendment.
All right, so Senator Sears moves the amendment, seconded by Senator Westman.
We need a motion.
Oh, we got an amendment.
We're voting on the
I'm trying to
amendment
write it
first.
Down, so.
And then we'll vote on the bill favorably as amended.
We vote on our amendments and ours. I mean, we have a motion for it.
We're moving the amendment first, and then we're moving the bill as amended.
Do you do that? Is that what you're saying? You don't do that?
Yeah, we do that.
A few procedural notes for your vote.
Yeah.
First, I sent an updated draft 1.2, change the committee requested, updated timestamp, so you'll be voting on amended draft 1.2. Second, procedural note, the amendment is directed at another committee's report. So you will be voting to adopt the amendment and then to approve the report of economic development as amended.
Because finance had an amendment that
It's good.
Judiciary has an amendment too.
do.
On the penalty.
Maybe our committee should get it.
Yeah, maybe health and welfare needs it.
Yeah. I think we
You
already,
could.
yeah.
You're all good. Thanks.
Since there's sports.
Dick, I thought you wanted this to pass.
So you have actually made
There's, but is there horse racing on one of those? Yeah.
All right, so the committee, I'm gonna, this is a vote on the amendment. And this is, will be draft 1.2, which reflects deletion of actual, because there won't be much actual in 2 weeks. Maybe there will be, but who knows? So unless there are further questions, I don't see any, what did you call it?
It's on the amendment.
On the amendment.
Baruch. Lyons.
Yes.
Birchler.
Yes.
Sears.
Yes.
Stars absent. Westman, yes. Kitchell.
Yes. And now a motion to move the bill favorably.
Bill. Favorably as amended with the report of the health of the committee on housing and general affairs intact, I guess.
I'll second. Baruch is not here. Lyons.
Yes.
Birchler.
Yes.
Sears.
Yes.
Stars not here. Westman, yes. Kitchell.
Yes. And do you want to be the, are you the, who's?
I'm the liquor lottery person. I'm in charge of prisons and sin.
All right, so you would like to be the reporter from this
I
committee?
would, but I'm not there to sign it out, so.
Okay,
It's in the- either way.
I think Vanessa can send you.
yeah, you can just, you can,
Oh, okay.
you
all
can
right.
authorize, I hereby certify.
Yep.
Okay,
If Tucker sends me a copy of the amendment and I could, and a copy to to Secretary Bloomer, I can just okay it.
yeah, do your,
Yeah, I have it right here.
email to his office, your
Yep.
approval for him to sign on your behalf.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you, Commissioner.
My pleasure, thank you all.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Now,
We need it.
we are not doing the capital bill now. I told Senator Ingalls we would do it Tuesday. I don't know how many other bills we have.
You got 206, I know that.
We have the universal meals. And
It's a diva.
Thank you.
thank you, John.
Thank you, everybody.
We need to talk, I think.
So,
As soon as
I
we're done,
think we've completed our work for the week, and I'm gonna go